On today's episode, I share the story of hiking up a mountain with my 73-year-old mother, who's had a hip replacement, by the way. Oh my goodness. I wasn't sure if I should let her hike that rocky trail, but she taught me 3 amazing truths as we hiked together. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Stories of Hope in Hard Times, the show that explores how people endure and even thrive in difficult times, all with God's help. I'm your host, Tamara K. Anderson. Join me on a journey to find inspiring stories of hope and wisdom learned in life's hardest moments. Welcome to another episode of the Stories of Hope in Hard Times podcast. I am your host, Tamara K. Anderson. Just before school started last year, our family took a last-minute vacation to 2 national parks, Yellowstone and the Tetons. I found out that my 73-year-old mother had never been, so I invited her to come with our family. While in Teton National Park, we did 2 hikes on the other side of Jenny Lake, Hidden Falls and Inspiration Point. Mind you, we were hiking with Nathan, our son with low-functioning autism, so we kind of go at a different pace than most and try not to push our luck with how much he will do. These hikes were beautiful and memorable, and we even made it without any autism tantrums, which is a miracle in and of itself. But the lessons I learned from my mother as we hiked Inspiration Point will stick with me the rest of my life. We've taken our children to the Teton National Park 3 times, and we've always done half of the hike up Inspiration Point because there's this beautiful overlook at the halfway point where you look out and you see Jenny Lake, and it's just beautiful. We haven't wanted to push our luck with Nathan, making him climb the rest of the steep rocky trail for the other half, although I'm sure he probably could make it if he were in a good mood. After several photos of us with Jenny Lake behind us at the halfway mark, my other 3 children decided they wanted to go to the very top, so they took off. As the next group of hikers descended, my mom asked how the rest of the hike was. They enthusiastically responded, "It is worth the climb." At that point, my mom said she wanted to go too, but we weren't so sure she should. She decided to go anyway, and she was going to go by herself. So I followed her, leaving my husband with Nathan at the halfway point. Even though Mom did catch her foot on one rock and fell down at some point, she picked herself up and kept going. She happily chatted and paused along the way, mostly to take photos of the wildflowers. But when we got to the steepest part of the rocky path, I offered her my arm. She then told me that she had learned, helping others who are getting a little unsteady on their feet, that it is better to hold on to something solid, like a chair, a table, or in our case, the side of a rocky mountain wall beside us. It was better to hold on to those than it was to hold on to me because I could move. So Mom slowed down, held on to the rocky ledge beside her, and stepped carefully as we made our way up that final rocky incline to the top of Inspiration Point. The view at the top was spectacular, but not as amazing as the many lessons I pondered as we climbed back down. Today, I want to share with you 3 lessons that are particularly meaningful in this time of distress during the coronavirus. There are 3 truths, really, that I think we can apply to our lives today. Lesson or truth number 1. When life gets steep and rocky, hold to the rock. American author, publisher, CEO, and religious speaker Sherry Dew said, "He rarely moves the mountains in front of us, but he always helps us climb them." As a young child, I remember singing the song, "The wise man built his house upon a rock." And since then, I've always loved the image of Christ being my rock to build on. When we hit the steep and bumpy parts of our life, We should follow mom's advice and hold to the rock. It is sturdy, it is stable, and it won't shift or move when everything else is. God can be our strength in good times and bad. The psalmist wrote, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. The Lord of hosts is with us. So, the number one lesson I learned hiking with my mother is to hold to the rock during difficult times. Jesus Christ has walked that lonely and steep trail before, and he knows best how to help you and me through. He can be strong when we are weak and help us to keep going if we're willing to lean on him. Truth number 2, when you fall, get up and keep going. One of the reasons I was so concerned about taking my mom up the second half of the trail was because I could see how rocky it was to climb, and I didn't want her to fall and hurt herself. If I would have let my fears stop both of us from trying, we never would have made it to the top. Although she did fall once, thank goodness Mom didn't hurt herself too badly. I quickly ran to her side and asked if she was okay and then helped her up. She wasn't going to stop or turn back. Mom wanted to keep going. American President Richard Nixon said, "Failure isn't falling down. Failure is not getting up after you have fallen." Do we let our falls keep us down? Do we give up when the going gets tough? When coronavirus has us pulling our hair out? I know I felt that way lately. There are days when all we see is the next patch of rocky mountainous trail in front of us, and we feel too exhausted to keep climbing. But, like Mom taught, when we fall down, we get back up and keep going. Sometimes we do need the help of a friend to pick us up, but that's okay because we're not on this path all alone. The journey is much more fun when we share it with friends and family members. Chat with your friends or loved ones, walking with you and beside you. And when you fall down, remember to get back up and keep going. Truth number 3, slow down and enjoy the journey. One of the things that amazed me the most was how my mother seemed to pause and look around as she climbed the rugged trail. She stopped occasionally and remarked how beautiful the flowers were, admiring every little thing. American evangelist, author, and Bible teacher Beth Moore remarked, "To God, our journey is just as important as our destination." When I was hiking last fall, I was looking at the hike kind of as a destination, a view at the top of a mountain. But my mother taught me that the climb is part of the journey, and there are beauties to be found along even the rockiest of trails, if we are looking for them. The question then becomes, where is our focus? If we're focusing only on the rocky path in front of us, we're bound to miss the flowers just off to the side. There's wisdom in slowing down and enjoying the journey. Pause. Look for the joys right beside you amidst the hardship. One of the interesting things about the quarantine this year is the blessings people found because of it. Here are some of the things people commented on in social media about finding joy in this crazy journey. Special bonding time with family members. Time to reach out and talk via phone or video chat to loved ones. Cutting back on the busyness of life. Eating meals as families. Time to pray and talk to God. Gratitude for personal interaction. Getting cleaning and organizing done, and time to work on hobbies like sewing, gardening, or music. German aviator, airline executive, and religious leader Dieter F. Uchtdorf said, "When stress levels rise, when distress appears, when tragedy strikes, too often we attempt to keep up the same frantic pace or even accelerate, thinking somehow that the more rushed our pace, the better off we will be. It is good advice to slow down a little, steady the course, and focus on the essentials when experiencing adverse conditions. As I learned from this quote and from my mother, the journey is just as important as the destination. And sometimes we have to slow down to enjoy that journey. Enjoy and find the beauties around you. Stop and smell the roses, as the saying goes. So, guys, those are the 3 truths that I learned from my mother. When life gets steep and rocky, hold to the rock. When you fall down, get up and keep going. And slow down and enjoy the journey. I've taken my mom's advice these past few weeks. I felt myself reaching the breaking point. There's been so much stress in my life for the past 6 months, and it seems to have come to a head for me. I've slowed down, clung to Jesus, brushed myself off from my falls, and begun to enjoy the journey more. Just this week, my husband and I went and looked at the beautiful fall leaves up in the mountains near our home. I loved seeing the fall colors, the vivid reds, the almost neon yellows, and the vibrant oranges. God is truly a master painter when it comes to fall colors and sunsets. And I loved having a little break from my children, let's be honest. We all need time to refresh and renew our souls so that we can keep going on our rugged trail of life. If you'd like to see pictures from our hike that I talk about on this episode and the journey up that rocky trail, check out the show notes from today's show on tamarakanderson.com website. God bless, my friends. Hang in there. I know life is hard, but hopefully you can apply these 3 truths in your life circumstance, even today. Hold to the rock, keep going if you've fallen, and slow down and enjoy the journey. Commit to do those things, or at least one of those things, today. Hope on.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to today's show. I know that there are many of you out there that are going through a hard time, and I hope you found things that have been useful today as you listen to the podcast. If you would like to access the show notes from today's podcast, visit my website. It is storiesofhopepodcast.com. That is where you'll find favorite quotes from today's episode and shareable memes. And those are fun because you can share them with your friends on social media. You will also find the links mentioned throughout today's episode so you don't have to remember what those were. And also all the tips that were shared. Sometimes tips are shared so much throughout an episode you forget. What were those great things? So go to the show notes, storiesofhopepodcast.com, to look up these fantastic resources. You know, if someone kept coming to mind during today's episode, perhaps that means that you should share this with them. Maybe there was a story shared or a tip that they really, really need to hear. So go ahead and share this episode with them. May God bless you, especially if you are struggling, with hope to carry on and with the strength to keep going when things get tough. Remember to walk with Christ, and He will help bear that burden. Above all else, remember, God loves you.